Rosenberg. He's a PhD, founder and CEO of Unanimous AI. Doctor, good to good to have you with us this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You know, I guess the first thing is to mention that Nat Geo's last episode of the series, Year Million, is to feature your work on what's called Swarm AI. And I guess I have to ask the question, what exactly is that anyway?
Right. So Swarm AI is a particular type of artificial intelligence where instead of building an intelligence completely from scratch from software, we actually tap the intelligence of people. So we combine the knowledge and wisdom and insights and intuition of real people, combine those with AI algorithms, and we produce an amplified intelligence, an intelligence that's smarter than the individuals who are providing input. And the reason it's called Swarm AI is that it's modeled after how nature does it. Nature amplifies the intelligence of groups by forming swarms, and that's the reason why birds form flocks and fish form schools and bees form swarms, because they can make better decisions together and are better able to survive than if they were on their own. And so we do that with people.
I think, you know what, I was watching, and I think I might have watched the meld one where
Yep.
Yes, where it was fascinating to me, where almost everyone kind of shares a mind. Is that?
Yeah, so
I'm kind of simplifying
so the Year Million. Well, yeah, so the Year Million, show looks out into the future at different stages. So they look out 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, thousands of years. And so when they look into the far future, they project that the types of interfaces that we have that allow us to interact with computers and with each other will get more and more sophisticated, to the point where we can just think to interface with a computer and ultimately just think to interface with each other.
Right.
And so when technology exists where we can share our thoughts, then the ability for groups of people to combine their experiences becomes something very different than we can imagine today.
So if you start with a group of people and you're trying to come up with, is it trying to come up with an answer to a question or problem? And if so, how do you pick the people? Because I know nothing about nuclear technology, so I would be the wrong person probably to ask to answer a question about that. How do you do that anyway?
Right, it's a great question. So it obviously depends on the question, and then we pick the right people. So for an example, at Unanimous AI, we were challenged by CBS to predict the Kentucky Derby. Now I don't know anything about horse racing. Nobody in our company did, but we found 20 horse racing enthusiasts, not experts, just enthusiasts. And they came into our system, and we asked them to predict not just the winner of the Kentucky Derby, but the first 4 horses in order. And they worked together as a system, essentially as a swarm, and they made their prediction and gave it to the reporter, and the reporter wrote her story and tweeted out the prediction, and it turned out to be correct. So anybody who had placed a bet on those 4 horses in order, in horse racing it's called the superfecta, a $20 bet would have won $11,000. So it was a very, very accurate prediction. And the amazing thing is that those 20 individuals on their own also made their own individual picks. None of them got more than 1 horse correct. So as individuals, they had bits of knowledge. They each got maybe 1 horse correct, but together as a swarm, they got all 4 horses correct, and so they were significantly smarter. And so if you pick a group of people who have some knowledge about the topic in question, as a system, they'll be smarter together than they would be alone.
What will be some of the negative things that you can share with us that can come out of this Year Million series?
Well, I think the thing that raises the biggest fear when experts look into the future is artificial intelligence, and the idea that a purely artificial AI at some point, even within the next 100 years, could become sentient, can have its own will. And once that happens, it's dangerous because it will have its own self-interest. It will have its own values and morals, and and at some point it will be not just as smart as us, but potentially smarter than us. And so the biggest fear that scientists have right now is this idea that an artificial intelligence can emerge in a lab that is just as smart, if not smarter. It has its own self-interests, and at that point we have no reason to believe that its goals will be the same as our goals.
It's fascinating
so
stuff. Fascinating stuff. Listen, thank you very much for your time. I'm afraid we have to move on here, but it was a great conversation, and I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah.
Dr.
Yep, thanks.
Luz Rosenberg, PhD, founder and CEO of Unanimous AI, Swarm Intelligence. Fascinating
Really
stuff.
is fascinating.
I mean, it is really different. And just think, if they hadn't published the results of the Derby race, they could have made a lot more money, because the more people who bet, the less the pool is.
Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock here.